Hello, everybody. How y'all doing this evening? Marshmallow Man, Susie, it's good to see y'all. Ronan, thank you for joining me.
Well, thank you for having me. Hello, everybody.
It's always good to have a male's point of view because just because.
Because we're always right. You could say it. That's okay.
Did you read the title?
Yeah, you're eating humble pie, I guess. I'm kidding. I'm just playing around.
I am. I'll admit it. um, and the reason I chose that, chose it. It just, it's one of those things that just came to me. And so, where did I write it down? Wrote down the definition of humble that they give us, and it's having or sharing a modest or low estimate of one's own importance. Low estimate? I thought that, oh, okay, to be humble is to, okay, to not be important. Oh my goodness. Hey, Wildlife and Lauren and Daniel, good to see y'all. And so then I was looking up scriptures about humbleness and what the Bible tells us, and nothing wrong with a little humble pie. And how are all of y'all feeling, Anaconda? It's good to see you. There might be something to the I'm seeing people act out of the ordinary. Me, myself, I know I am. And I'm seeing it in my home. And we all have been passing around this cough throat thing crud. But and if there's any background noise that bothers y'all, please let me know. I have my little granddaughter and we're here by ourselves right now until the girls get back. But so you know how we always heard that on a full moon, first responders will tell you they just kind of go nuts. So do you think the solar flares could be having anything to do with the way people are acting or are feeling? Or I've seen a lot of people saying that they're feeling really tired and run down, and am I making excuses? I don't know, but sometimes I say things that I shouldn't. This is why I say that women should not be in a power position, because they do run on emotions. And I'm sorry to all the women out there, but I know it's true of me. It may not be of everybody, but I mean, I've seen some women give some really powerful talks that people seem to listen to. That's not my job or my part in all this, but let me see what y'all are saying. Marshmallow Man knows he's out of the ordinary. I think it definitely could play a part for sure. Thank you, Wildlife. Yeah, so I will go to the scripture about James 4:10, humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord and he will lift you up.
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, often I think like when we see the title "Eating Humble Pie," it kind of makes it like we're kind of humbling ourselves before each other. Which I'm not saying there's anything wrong about that, but first and foremost, who should we be humbling ourselves before, right?
Yes, he stands alone in the lane. Okay. Should I highlight that? Elaine, I love the way you just throw it out there. No, I don't mean it that way. I believe that, okay, if you keep listening, you'll see. Because I even go into meek, and because the Bible says the meek will inherit the earth. And meek is quiet, gentle, and easily imposed on, submissive. So when I read that, I kind of got, wait a minute, this whole thing is do not comply. We're in a battle. How do you be submissive in a battle? And so, yeah. Did I walk into a great finances? Better than most men, and I work 2 jobs while doing it. Just can't be a hormonal sissy. Well, we do have that going for us too. um, hey Dee. So yes, I agree with that. It's not that women are powerless. And Ronan, what do you think your the woman's role
Well,
is?
I think it's just what you're mentioning right now. It's not necessarily one or the other. It's the enemy is confusing the roles and doing things like confusing male roles versus female roles. We see that in popular media where they're talking about men breastfeeding and most outrageous things like that. There's there's a reason for everything, right? I mean, we're talking about, yeah, a woman could run a household better than a man, maybe because that's what they're designed to do, right? Like the man builds a house, but as far as what happens underneath it, as long as it's kind of goes according to what the good Lord says, I really don't care too much about that. But I think part of what
Yes,
happens is it's a divide and conquer. It's to, you know, pin us against each other, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. I don't have a problem with women or roles or anything like that. I think I know what I need to do. And I don't care what anybody says as far as that goes. And I think that might be a manly kind of a thing. I think sometimes women often are more cliquey. I want to say they want to fit in. They're scent trends, right? They get involved in fashion and all that kind of stuff, right? Where guys don't really care as long as the jeans are comfortable, kind of a thing, right?
yes. And wildlife, that's good. Proud men count their accolades, and humble men count their blessings. I like that. And this isn't to devalue men or women. It's it's we all got to function in this world together. Tomcat's World, good to see you. I saw somebody else come in that no, I didn't say hello to. Benjamin and
Tomcats,
Andy, Ron Dunning. It's good to see all y'all.
Melvita.
Yes, Melvita. It's been a long time. Good to see you. So, let me go to the scriptures about meek. Maybe that'll be so. Um, this is Isaiah 11:4. But with righteousness he shall judge the poor and decide the equity for the meek of the earth. He shall strike the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips he shall slay the wicked. But then, um, man, I hope I say this right. Zephaniah 2:3. Seek the Lord, all ye meek of the earth, who have upheld his justice. Seek righteousness, seek humility. It may be that you will be hidden in the day of the Lord's anger. It may be that you will be hidden in the day of the Lord's anger. Seeing earlier, I thought that, and it blessed Matthew 5:5, blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Crystal, good to see you. Gargar, Echo. So, when was your Bible written? You know what? And that's something I wanted to talk about too. Is I keep hearing all of this about, um, you know, lost books of the Bible or um, I'm not gonna. Hilarious too. Good to see you. I'm not gonna devalue the Bible. It has its place, and from the scriptures we learn right from wrong. It it's I think that the scriptures are the the Old Testament is telling us all the laws and what can happen if we don't obey those laws, and what um, the fear of God. And then the New Testament, and like Ronan and I were talking earlier, and he said the Old Testament is like leading up to the birth of Christ. And so the New Testament, when Jesus comes in, he washes away all sin and redeems us. So, go ahead, Ronan.
Well, yeah, like we were discussing, the Old Testament is a prophecy of the Messiah coming, and that Messiah came in the Gospels. That's why we have the Old Testament is a story about Jesus is coming. These are the things he's going to do. The Gospels, we have Jesus is here. This is what he did. He came and he satisfied those laws in the Old Testament, right? Part of what we read in the Gospels is when the Pharisees are trying to trick him on, he healed someone on the Sabbath, but one of the 10 commandments is to remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. So they try to, be like, well, you're obviously not who you're saying you are because you did something on the Sabbath, right? So we see throughout the Gospels that, Jesus satisfied that law. He gave us the law that we should love our neighbors as ourselves and to love the Lord God with all our hearts, with all our souls, with all our minds, and with all of our strength. So, and that's what we're living under now, is that covenant, right? That law, if you want a law. But that's kind of the whole thing. What we learn from Jesus is, he satisfied those laws. It doesn't mean we're above them, right? Doesn't mean we go back to murdering and coveting and all that stuff. No, it doesn't mean that. But then we have the rest of the Gospels after Jesus ascended. There's the prophecy of his return, right? What's the promise of, and kind of describing how it may look, right? So it's not going to, I think we've kind of had this conversation too, where some Bibles are missing a verse in Matthew, right? Like it's just straight not there. It's skipped. But the more you think about it, it's we can't even handle the parts of the Bible that we have, and we expect like some missing parts to fill in and somehow excuse our misbehavior and justify some of the stupid things that we see on the world today. And I don't agree with that. I mean, if we were good stewards with the parts of it that we had, and we actually did love our neighbors as ourselves, and we loved the Lord our God with all our hearts, our minds, our souls, and our strength, I don't think we would be in this situation. How much more of the message do you need? If we're saying the gospel is Jesus did satisfy that law, we're not necessarily saying we're above it. We've made our own laws as men and women on this land to kind of be able to coexist with each other, right? Whether it's something we agree with or we don't agree with. We did that to ourselves.
Sammy's mom, good to see you. John. Hey. Kelly has a Bible missing Luke 17:36. Just skipped it and went to 37. Yeah, and some of them, and so the one that I was reading those scriptures from is the NIV. I don't know what it's, and usually I read from the King James. My Bible laying here is King James, but it's easier for me to see it up on the computer, so I pulled up the NIV version. And so I know that they say different things. Okay. I'm just reading Al's comments. Sorry, I'm all quiet. And Ronan's letting Big Boy out. And yeah, it was just, so what I was thinking too is everything that's going on, that they just keep, and I guess it's major because it's happening here. Sharon, it's good to see you. Is the Muslims have seemed, and I could be wrong, but it appears to me that they have held on to the old ways, to the Old Testament more so, where they still believe in the stoning of their people or beheading or whatever. And here we have turned more to the New Testament and being born again. Paradise, it's good to see you. And believing that the way to God is through his son, Jesus Christ. And so seeing all these protests in DC, I'm wondering why those people are even here. If they are so convicted to their religion over there, and if they truly believe that, why did they come here to America where it is so different? And we don't hide it that it's different. Everyone knows it's different here. And so why they're up there in DC protesting, trying to get all the people here and the government to do what they want them to. I just don't understand it.
I think it's just to add more chaos to the mix, a little more confusion, chaos.
Thank you, Paradise.
Anything
And
to disrupt and
divide,
yeah.
because you've got half of the people going for Israel and half of them going for Palestine, and it's just it's creating, it's like they're bringing their war here to us, and it's not our battle. They do this all the time. That's their battle that they've been fighting for years and years and years. Hey, Al Bundy, good to see you. Thank you, Indy.
Yep. Follow the money. I guess I don't know. I mean, isn't that something that just happened? Didn't the EAU just switch currencies now? They're not using dollars to sell petroleum. So I mean, the money's going away. It's more than that. I
Well,
mean,
that,
it's
and I have also seen the oh, what's that? The Suez Canal, that
CND.
whoever the people are, they want to build a new canal and make it a whole lot wider and bigger because of the what was it called? Evergreen, whatever it was that got stuck there.
Yeah.
So it blocked billions of dollars from getting through the trade. And that's their whole thing, is they want to be able to make the money with their trade. So they're talking about building this new canal. And the map that I saw where they're wanting to build this new canal is right through Gaza. So what does that tell you? Sexy Red, thank you. Good to see you. Evergreen. And yes, Elaine, I do believe that that did happen. I think that that's why they went in and were going through the crates. But I don't know. And
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, it's a lot of things have been said over the years about that whole thing and about current events and things that are going on in the world, but
yes,
those are hard to take on and try to manage the affairs of the world when we can't manage our own affairs,
and
right?
that's, yes, our own affairs. I was just in a discussion earlier where they were talking about the movie Freedom. What was it called? um, about the trafficking, and it was done over in another country. I can't even remember what country it was. I'm so sorry. I didn't watch it. And but I did see clips of it, so I kind of know what it's about. And um, at the same time, it's like these are American actors. How come it's not coming out about what's happening right here We see it through the system, the 3-letter system. We see it through the, and that America is the one funding most of that anywhere in the world, even. So it's kind of, I don't know.
I mean, do you think if the people that made this movie had that information, do you think that the authorities didn't? You think they didn't know? They just didn't do anything about it? I mean, I don't believe that to be true. I know
No.
that there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world and a lot of corrupt and unjust people, but
Yes, I'm
they're
sitting
in it.
right here at the border. The kids that are being trafficked through here, they're not with their parents. Not a lot of them. I see very few families. I may see a man with a child, but I'm not believing that that's his child. I think
You
that they're
don't know
using
that though. Did
children.
you go up to him and talk to him and
Well,
interview him? And
I didn't, but I saw Anthony do interviews with him, and I could just tell that the child was um, the way she, the way he was holding her arm, and the way that he didn't want her to speak. It just
I mean,
um
look, this is a perfect example. You're getting all in your feelers. I'm not. Look, I'll look at it perfectly
exactly.
subjectively and say, you know what? You don't know any of that to be true. That's all a fantasy made up in your mind. You don't know if it was that child's father, and you have these creeps with the camera. The little child doesn't even know English. Of course, they're all going to be scared. What would you do? You're in a foreign country. You got a bunch of people with cameras in front. You don't know who's the cops, who's the bad guy. If you got some maniac looking to just martyr you or something, take something out on you, you're going to get your child and get out of there, right? I mean,
Yes.
all this stuff, most of it, I believe, yeah, there's horrible and atrocious things happening. Yes. And the more that we sit and watch videos and let it erode at our lives instead of living our lives and doing something,
No,
that's
I'm not even
a bad thing. I think you may be right though. All this stuff very well may be true. However, we don't have proof. We don't know, right? It's
right.
all shows, it's all videos, it's all YouTube,
But
it's all
even the government will admit that they've lost 85,000 children. How do you lose 85,000 children? That's a lot.
it is a lot. It's unforgivable. I mean, but how many children are lost in the foster care system? I mean, the government has never been
That's
good at keeping anything: money, people, children, food, weapons, none of that. They've never been good at any of it, ever.
well, that's
Right?
true. That's true. And yes, I know I let my feelings get into it, but at the same time, when you're even from the beginning, I know y'all have seen the child that the sheriff with his dash cam filmed that was walking down the road, the 4-year-old crying because the group that had brought him in left him. And I know you've seen where they are just throwing him over the wall. And so,
Yeah,
yes,
because it's better to
it,
be an orphan in America than it is to be anywhere else, apparently. Think about
yeah,
it.
but
I
that's
mean, this
what,
4-year-old kid was picked up by law enforcement or by somebody who cared. There's plenty of countries in this world where that
yeah,
child wouldn't even been looked at, right?
yes, I agree.
I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm just saying, we got to mix it up a little bit. Otherwise, we're just going to end up sitting in front of screens the rest of our lives doing research. I've researched everything. I know all the secrets of the world. Now what? I know all the hidden history, all the forgotten history, the flat Earth, the triangle Earth, the whatever, all of it. Mud flood. Now what?
Lacey, been good to see you. Thank you. Now
Right.
what is a good question. And I think that's where we're all at. Okay, we know all the corruption, we know all this is going on. Now what? And it's, um, you know, and Elaine, thank you. You keep going on about the evil demons. Okay, they are. And that's where we need to really pray and ask for guidance of where to go, now what. But also it's totally lost my train of thought. Hate when they do that. It's where was that comment? Maybe I'll get it back. Yeah, it's past the time of blaming. I mean, either it's something that we can change, we can come together and change it, or we can't. And if you look at the evil, they are so on it. They are organized. They are they're they've got this all planned out. It's um
Yeah, but we say the evil
and
one's a
we're not.
liar, right? Like that's one thing we know. The evil one is a liar and will tell us lies, right? All kinds of lies. Lies, lies, sweet little lies, right?
Yes.
So at what you know, I know we keep using this word discernment, and it sounds
Yes.
like as if it's a mystical creature, like we're talking about a unicorn or something when we talk about discernment.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it is important, however, if we take a look at what we're doing, I think we'd have a better grasp of our discernment. If we see ourselves sitting here and being compelled by a bunch of videos and being kept in our houses and stuff instead of going out and living life and doing something, producing something, or somehow, if you're able bodied to, I understand some folks simply are not. But I mean, it's of no benefit to anybody to just let your mind get eaten up by these things that you have no control over. If you want to make it a better world, you want to do something different, adopt a child, open your home up to foster care children, do something, put your money where your mouth is. It's not your job to
I would,
just sit there and do research all day. It's your job to do something, right? Participate in society. We all want to be part of a community. For what? Why do we want to be part of a community? For that community to serve us, or so we could serve that community and be part of something? We all have an option and a choice to be part of what we have around us. The big problem is none of us really like what's going on around us, but we still have that choice to at least be our voice in that, whatever it is, however
yeah.
it is.
Hey, D-Dog.
Yeah, because the Geneva Bible of 1560 has all the secrets
And
and all the answers.
I would do that, but you have to go through the system to do it. And they, um, I don't know how they decide that, but apparently I don't qualify for whatever reason.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Like, you got to go in there and you got to play their game. You can't go in there with your
Yes.
mindset saying you're going to change the system and that you're going to raise these kids in any kind of religious anything. You kind of got to keep your mouth shut and just say, yeah, we're going to give them their Cheetos at 3 o'clock and yep, 4 hours of screen time and whatever. Yep. You got to do what you got to play their game to get their way. Right. But once you're in it, it's a little bit different. You have a choice and an opportunity then to actually operate and do something. Right. You can at that point make a positive difference in a child's life once they're in your life, if that's what you want to do. Right. So it is, yeah, it's not like, it's almost I don't know if it's like a disguise thing or what, how else you would say it, but really it's almost kind of like what they do, right? They say yes, and play nice and do whatever just to get where they need to be and then do their work. their work's evil.
Yeah.
I know family members that have opened their homes up to foster care children, and it is kind of a fiasco. They had interviews, they had people come into their house, they had classes, they had a whole crazy list of things to do.
Yes. They
And
can
then there's a
come
bunch
and
of
go through your
rules.
closets. They can go through every single thing. And then that child has to have all of their shots, whether you want them to or not. They have to, they get reports from the doctors. You have to follow the doctor's orders, whatever they are. Um, they're very pushing everything that we're like, don't do it. Um, they're I've seen how they work around here, and that's what I'm seeing. That that these are all the things that they're pushing for. They have to be in a public school. They don't want you homeschooling. Anything that we're trying to do to get further away from the control, they force it.
Right. And they force people that are kind hearted and good like yourselves out of it on purpose, right? So if you want to be involved, you got to play their game. You got to clean up your house. You got to let them look in the closets. You know, you might even have to hide the Bibles, hide the pictures of Jesus. If you want to get to that child and actually have a positive influence in their life, you may have to do some things that are uncomfortable if that's what you feel called to do, right? Or find a different way to do it. There are
Right.
Christian organizations that help people adopt children as well. I mean, if that's what is drawing at your heart to do something. But
Yes.
I mean, at some
And
point, oh, sorry.
I even have a daughter-in-law that a friend of hers was in a bad place, and she knew the state was going to take her child, and so she asked my daughter-in-law if she would take her, and so she did. And so because it was done between the two parents, then um, I, as far as I know, CPS is not involved. Wasn't involved until the paternal grandmother of the child stepped in, and she couldn't have her because of things that she was doing. But so she wanted to cause problems. But the child is still with my daughter-in-law, and she's still fine. And so it's a crazy thing. The fosters, if you go through the system, get paid insane amounts of money. The the organization gets insane amounts of money per child. It's way more than you would ever spend on that child a month. It's it is crazy. Yeah, Social Security Act. In the Social Security Act, that's weird that it's in that, but I'll have to look that up, D-Dog. I know if they come around here, it's first of all, you're trespassing, and kidnapping is not going to happen. It's there's things you can do. Mama T was one of them. She pulled some cards and it worked. Absolutely stands alone. Good to see you. Article 6. Thank you, D-Dog.
I don't know. I just guess, you know, talk is cheap. We could sit here and talk and make videos till we're all blue in the face and we've watched the ends of the internet. It's not going to do a damn thing in the real world. There's sweat equity that we have to put in this one way or another. Be creative. Think outside the box. Do something, right?
Right. And that's where getting involved in your communities, I think, is the best way to do that to start with. And then it spreads, maybe, if people, hey, David, morning. What?
Good morning. Sunday morning.
um, yeah, that I'm fixing to get more involved with the church again. Um, I stepped away from it because of things that were being pushed or that I didn't agree with, but at the same time, I think it's good to have that fellowship, the the extended family, like where it's right there, where you can speak to them. We can speak to each other here like this, but
Yeah,
we're all miles apart.
that's just
And
the thing. I mean, in YouTube land, we're a community of isolationists. It's like an oxymoron if you think about it. And
yes,
when we go into public, we have to mind our manners, right? We almost can't be a real, if we're, I mean, we could be whoever you want, right? But it's like, do you want to have people around you? Do you want the community to just shun you right away? Or, like I mean, it plays out how it plays out. Let's be real. I'm not telling anyone what to do. I mean, the Holy Spirit compels you, do what you got to do, I guess. But like,
yes,
at what point do we say, well, we can't reach anybody if we keep, I don't want to say throwing people away, but excluding people, or, like just telling people to do the research. People aren't going to do that. Here, watch this video has never changed my mind on anything. Right. So it's like,
right,
that's not going to work. What are they going to see? They're going to see the fruits of your labor. That's what they're going to see. They're going to see your character. They're going to see the kind of person you are and how you can handle yourself and how you carry yourself in public. Right? Are you
yes,
disheveled, unshaven, and stink of 3-day-old BO? You're probably not going to be received very well. Right? And even in the Bible, it tells us when we fast, we don't rub mud on our face and dirt and put on bad torn clothes and go around, oh, we're fasting. No, we wash ourselves. It says to put oil and you gel up your hair. You look good. You don't let the world know what's going on. You're fasting for the Lord, not for them. Right?
yes,
You still put it on and you go and participate. And again, like I'm saying this stuff, I'm also preaching to myself here first and foremost. I'm not coming down on anybody. I don't know any of you well enough to say any of those things about you. I'm telling you, I'm telling me these things. Like I understand that. I see myself and I've tested my community in a sense in that way. I've gone in the grocery store in a suit, shaven, and it's sir, yes, sir. They got everything. People are eager to help a man in a suit. I've also gone straight out there from chopping wood, mud stains on my, like I know what I smell like too after chopping wood, getting the same stuff. They don't even look at you twice. And every time I do that, this stupid little girl there opens up my bag of tortillas. Like, how does that accidentally happen? Time and time again. Like, and
and
it's not a big deal, but it's kind of like a thing. It's like, it's my food. I bought it. I should be the one opening it. Like, why are you doing it? Like, that's
yes,
weird.
that's not
She's like, oh, I
even,
just grabbed it. And no, shut up. That's so weird. But nevertheless, people do treat people differently based on that, right? I
yes,
mean, if
based
we're not
on that,
good or
yes,
bad, it just still happens. It's the world we live in.
yes. And that's sad because I've seen homeless. Well, I just saw this video, a short. Um, the girl was working in a restaurant. I thought it was a chain, but maybe not. Anyway, she was working in the restaurant, and this man came up, and he was dressed pretty raggedy, and um, he was like, can I have some food? I'm just starving and I don't have any money. And she was just looking at him for a minute, and then she was like, okay, go sit down at that table over there and I'll get you something. And he said, you will? And she said, yes. And so then she came with whatever they had on special that day. I think it was steak and eggs. And um, she said, you're lucky that my manager isn't here and that this is on me. And so as he's sitting there, he says, can I show you something? He pulls off his gloves and the mask, and he came in as a white man with the mask and gloves. When he pulled it off, he was a black man. And he said, I'm the owner of this restaurant, and since you were the only one in all the restaurants I own that has done this, here's $10,000 for you. And of course, she just like, wow, Stuart, good to see you. And so that's where it's like, I've seen that over and over and over. I always look at the homeless picture, because a lot of times they're not really homeless. They're There was one man, he was sitting outside of a church, and his the people, as they were going into the church, he was asking them, or he had a cup out there asking for money, something, maybe a sign. Well, turns out he was the pastor of that church, and he just wanted to see how many of his parishioners, is that what you call them? How many of the people of his church were actually listening to his sermons and actually helping people, like he was saying, we're all supposed to, if we're doing okay ourselves, now turn around and give the next person a hand up, you know? Tails, it's good to see you. Frog, how are you doing?
Hey, Frog. Tails, Astua.
And I think that that is another thing of how you, the the humbleness and is um seeing yourself in their shoes. Like, but I've been homeless and I know what it's like, and not to the extent of, because I wasn't going to stay there. It was a temporary thing, and I knew that I was going to pull myself out of it any way I could. But um, you're looked at in a whole different way when you're down and out like that. And but that's the thing is, and I'll ask everybody in the chat, what's your drive? What pushes you? What pushes you to keep going? What is it for you, Ronan?
It's my relationship with my creator is really what it boils down to, because I know I'm young, but I've had enough life experiences to realize that I don't want to say I don't give a shit about anything. I care about a lot of things and people first and foremost, relationships and how, how we truly are, not just how we appear to be or what our standing in society is, but really where we are spiritually. So what gets me going and keeps me going is my relationship with my creator. Now, it wasn't always that way. I had to run into a lot of failures and question and struggle and figure it out. Some ways the hard ways, but not really the hard ways compared to other people. I realize that they've had it a lot harder, and I'm super grateful that I didn't have to struggle as hard as some folks did to come to this understanding, but there's nothing else in life worth it, if you ask me. I mean, everything else goes away, if ultimately so do we, right?
Right. But I'm seeing where some people just get stuck there, and maybe they think that they have no way out, or they don't want a way out. I don't know.
I think misery sometimes is comfortable. It's what we know, right?
Yeah.
We either we put ourselves in it because in some way there's a lack of accountability there. We see ourselves, so it's almost like having an illness. It's like, well, we can't do this type of thing because of misery. And that's a place we put ourselves, really. And I mean, that's what always comes back to, you know, my relationship with the Creator, with God. It's that I know that in time, all that stuff changes. Sometimes it surprises me how fast things change from day to day. And I'm not talking about the weather. I'm talking about people. I'm talking about the hearts of men that really you think are as hard as rocks, but wow, you know.
Yes. And that's just it too, is people can change. Even, you know, everyone keeps blaming the evil ones and looking at them really bad, but I know that even evil people can change. I've seen it. Through God.
Right. And that's
why we pray for our enemies, I think, is, and I do. And I pray that he touches their heart in some way to change them, or to at least make them feel something or think something. Just touch their heart.
well, and that's what we see the world is in the situation it's in because the hearts are calloused, right? They're bitter towards one side or the other. It doesn't matter what level you're on, even if you're poor or rich. If you're poor, you have the left and the right you fight over. If you're the rich, you're basically fighting the poor for what you perceive to be a future for your riches. You know, it's just a matter of we're all separate, and we deny ourselves any sort of common grounds when we do that. So we see Antifa and Black Lives Matters as a bunch of nonsense, part of the problem, if you ask me, right? So we
Yes.
often automatically shut down. And I'm not saying I agree with anything they say. I really don't know much about what they say. I've seen what they do, and that's enough for me. However, you know, we automatically shut down and we disconnect from any message whatsoever, and we refuse to find common ground, right? Ultimately, that's not a good thing. We are all created in the image of God, right? We're all part of this. We're all here together for a reason, and it is a test. Every day is a test, and it's how we handle it. But we gotta not. I don't want to say not pay attention, but we can't give what we keep seeing in chat and how people say demons and stuff like this. We can't keep giving them clout. That's not who we're here to glorify. That's not who we're here to give any sort of power to, right? There's always evil in the world.
Yes.
I don't accept it in my life, right? And there is principalities and things going on that, quite frankly, are beyond me. I don't understand them, and all the knowledge and stuff in the world, I may understand it, but what I do know ultimately is the one that created me also created everything else, and I have a direct access to God, the creator of everything, through Jesus Christ, and that's what the gospel is. It's that bridge, if you will, that connects us sinners to be able to have any sort of, you know, anything with God, any sort of connection, be able to repent, if you will, be able to forgive. All that stuff is through, you know, what Jesus did, and that now we have that, and that's how.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. yeah, Jack, I said hello. I guess you didn't hear me. I just said Annie. I'm sorry. You are not unnoticed, I promise you. Let me share this. Hmm, I'll have to get it later. I can't right now.
Why don't you come up and show us the trick, Frog? Uh,
I think John got it. He's my finger and thumb on a pair of ice cream. Frog's always just trying to change the subject. Sammy's mom, you must know Frog. Oh, he gets around, I guess. So, heard you get a little passionate there for a minute.
who, me?
Yes, but the man's side of things.
Nah, I'm just talking.
I understand. Um, we covered a lot in a short time.
Yeah.
I don't know. Here, I just keep living life. Christmas is coming up. Um, I'm doing what I can to make it special for those that I love and care about. And
Yeah, and that's what it's about, right?
yes,
We gotta live a little. I mean, for crying out loud, it's just so much depression, it seems like at some point.
I mean, that's where if you keep smiling, and if you can't smile, find something to make you smile, whether it's humor, whether it's a song, whatever it is. There's uplifting things all over YouTube. There's inspirational. There's help of any kind for anything that you need. And so hopefully that's, besides turning to God, if you're going to turn to YouTube, that you look for those things that are uplifting. Um, there's people out there that are, I see so many that are trying to stay positive. It sometimes it is really hard to stay positive during these times, but we can do it.
Yeah, we gotta stay positive. We gotta celebrate the things we have to celebrate, right? That's always important. That's always been important.
And be thankful. Always be thankful. We're still here. Lady Smith, good to see you. Blessings come in many forms, and some you may not even recognize as a blessing. I've seen something really terrible turn into something really good. So, um, it's just, it is possible.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, it's kind of cliche to say, but they say time heals all wounds. And there is some truth to that. I think we kind of gather more of an understanding over time and we get a better picture of things. Maybe not quite 100% where we were.
Right. But this has been some journey for me. Just even doing a YouTube channel, it started out just a few of us friends getting together, and it just kind of grew. I don't understand it, but once that started happening, then I started feeling like it was. I've heard Indy say the same thing. It's a push. It's this push that just can't be ignored. And most times there's some kind of a message in it too, whether it's to help people. It's, I try to do the physically, mentally, and spiritually, all of it together, because your mind, if you get in a bad mindset, it can start causing problems with your body. It can start causing problems with your social life. It can keep you sitting secluded. And so your mind is definitely one to keep active and keep open, and not just because somebody said something, oh man, that's true. You got to really look into it, or really look into yourself. I am very strong in my beliefs and where I stand, but during this journey of YouTube and doing these lives and having these discussions, my mind has been more open to different views and why there would be different views. Where, I was kind of back in the day, it's my way or the highway. And I have learned that doesn't get you anywhere. Trust me. Yeah, I, I, I am an I'm sorry person. I say I'm sorry a lot. I try not to, but it just is, because I can't stand for anybody to be mad at me. If somebody's mad at me, I'm just like, oh no, how do I fix this?
I used to kind of be like that too, I guess. I think it's more of a up north thing. Growing up in Wisconsin, it's just kind of maybe like a bleed over from Canada. They're always
Man,
sorry, right?
I'm way down here.
Yeah, I don't know what your excuse is. That's kind of weird.
Excuse me.
Frog. Relax.
Not in North Dakota. I've never been, I have never been north. Um, the farthest north I've ever been is Kentucky. Is that even considered north? It is to us. But even on that trip, even if that's a southern state, Kentucky's considered a southern state, right?
Probably if you ask them. I don't know.
Yeah. But even on that trip, I could see the difference in the way people were acting the further north that we got. And I wasn't even looking for it. I wasn't it was just noticeable. And I've already always heard that um maybe people up north are more um, reserved. Maybe that's the word. Where we're not here, which is
I think
when,
that's fair. Yeah, I think that's right.
yeah, because when the Swedes came and my son told me there was these two couples of Swedish people that had come and he says, they're going to come to karaoke. You got to come and meet them. They are so awesome. And I went and met them and they became my Swedish kids. It was instant. The whole family, they just became part of the family. And that's the way we do it here. Reserved gossips. Midwest, yeah. Maybe it's Midwest. T-Bone.
Well, there's the
No
hospitality,
frog. Do what?
whole Southern hospitality thing, right?
Yes. Open arms, open home. Unless.
And I guess there's different areas too. I mean, I lived in, you know, different areas of the North, and people are different in Chicago than they are in Wisconsin than they are in Ohio and stuff like that. I mean, it's kind of like a little tribalism thing, I guess. There's similarities. Obviously, we're all Americans.
Yes.
However,
And well, I can see that even in Texas. Houston, you don't want to go to Houston. Houston's like this, I don't know where it came from, but it's this little spot down there that I avoid. They're they're different. They're mean. And that's um I hate to see it, but I see Dallas kind of getting that way. In Austin. I think all the big cities are in danger of, what's the word? Is it imploding on themselves? Destroying themselves?
kind of,
Whatever.
yeah, that seems like pretty accurate. There are electing crazy officials, passing stupid laws, doing all kinds of nonsense. I mean, and they are doing it to themselves.
Yes. Yeah, divided is by design. And I guess there's still a lot of people too who, um, because of the Civil War, um, geez, what year was that? But So none of us were alive for it, I don't think. No, I know. None of us were alive for it. So, but the people still hang on to that, even to the point of doing reenactments of it. It's
Yeah.
it's kind of unusual to me. Those Virginians, I think, is that where it happens at? Or
Well, I mean, when I went to high school, we did a reenactment of Gettysburg, and the seniors got the top of the hill, and like we were in junior high, so we had to charge them from the bottom of the hill. We had super soakers, and like it was, a reenactment, if you will. But I mean, it's part of American history. It's part of our culture in a sense. We came from somewhere, and it's important to remember that and the reason. I believe, that's as a
it's
nation,
true.
if you will, as if we're saying, we are 50 states independent, right, with their own sovereignty, but yet we still have a union. There's a union of those states, and this is how it kind of formed. It's part of it. I mean, we all know the victor is the one that writes the books, so we
Yes.
question some of the stuff we read, and we do what
And
we can.
yeah, but I still see it as um, they still, it is a part of history. It was definitely a monumental moment for the United States, and but I can still see where the history has been kind of designed, or maybe not the history, but the like people getting offended by the Confederate flag is in, but isn't that the state flag of, is it Alabama or
I know it's on state flags. I thought it was like the Tennessee battle flag. I thought that's what it was. I'm not exactly sure, but I
Mhm.
mean, people will get offended by whatever. I mean,
Yes, and but
it's
that's the
one thing
whole
to be
push,
offended. It's not necessarily an act of violence, right? It's not, and that's what the
right?
difference is. I mean, just because it offends me doesn't mean the world has to change its ways. If that was the case, the world would be a lot better place if everyone just listened to me. But there's that whole free will nonsense everyone's running around with, don't know what to do anything about it with, and waste their free will on getting offended over someone's flag.
Right, but that's what they're doing. The push is that it's racist, or that it is connected to slavery, or whatever. It's the the whatever they in the higher powers put it out to be, and people fall for it, and that's what it had nothing to do with that. And Al Bundy, that that does sound cool to me. And so I just saw where a headline saying Texas is one step closer to seceding from the United States. And I'm still concerned about that because everything that's going on down here. And I just, it's what they're trying to do is the one step closer is they're going to put it on the 24 ballot for the people to vote on whether they think it's a good idea or a bad idea.
Well,
And it surprises me that it's gotten to that stage.
we'll see what the people say. It'll be interesting.
Mhm. It will be. The article I read said only on the Republican ballot. Well, I didn't know that there was two different ballots. I thought there was one ballot with everyone on it, and you just decide which one you want. It may be divided in two, the Republicans on one side and the Democrats on the other, maybe. It's been a minute since I've seen a ballot, but I don't know. We'll see what
I don't
happens.
either. And I mean, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I guess time will tell. Or, even if
I
it'll
know.
happen. I mean,
I know. And
that's kind of the thing, right? Like a twig is easily broken on its own, but a bundle of sticks, right? That's a lot harder to break when you have multiple of them. That's what made the America strong, is that union of states. You start taking away from that, it's done, loses its integrity. It's starting to fall apart. I mean, obviously it has been, that's what they say, but
yeah. And but then that would make us a country again, because it has been like 6 times.
I mean,
Four
look who's in
times.
charge. You think they're going to do anything to benefit folks like us? Even if Texas does this, do you think it's going to be for anybody's benefit? No. Let's be real.
No. And Abbott, um, yeah, it would be the only way that I would agree to that is, first, if it was totally by the Constitution with the Bill of Rights and the Declaration of Independence, because they all three have to go together. I've seen D-Dog say the Constitution doesn't give you any rights. No, but the Bill of Rights does. And so all three of the documents have to go together. And as far as military and, you know, people with disabilities, that there's a lot of questions I would have for that to happen. It would there would be a whole lot more to it than just separating from the states. The way Idaho and Oregon are doing it, I don't know if that's better or worse, or I don't know. It's and so that's then if you get your counties to go that way constitutionally, then that keeps spreading till you have a constitutional state. Um, I think that would be the way to go, because then the state can use that to their benefit.
Yeah, but the state doesn't want to use that to the benefit. Texas doesn't want to succeed. Texas wants to tell people they're going to succeed. Texas government wants to stay just where it is so they can keep using the federal government to say, no, they're the problem. Once Texas succeeds, or any of these 14 states, according to D-Dog, they'll have to take accountability and credibility for themselves. They won't be able to do a better job running their states than they are doing right now, and they won't have a bad guy to pin it on. They ain't going nowhere. They're staying right where they are.
Right. Oh, okay. Government limits. Thank you, D-Dog.
Yeah, they're corporate documents. They're for the corporation and its employees. And that corporation
Well,
changes time and time again. I mean,
what they are is they're supposed to control the government, from what I understand, by the people, through the people. Something.
sounds nice, doesn't it? Isn't it? It's poetic, right? Oh, for the people, by the people, of the people. I'm moist. All right. It's so romantic almost. Don't you feel free when I say that? Let me say it again. For the people, of the people, by the people. Can you smell the freedom in this room right now? I can. It smells great. Like, when has it ever been any of that? Right. I would, yeah. We are supposed to control the government. We're supposed to control our own minds. And that's what government is, right? Mind control. There's always going to be a body of people making stuff up and doing things. But if we can't control our own minds and our own actions, then they will. They will control your minds and your actions, whether you like it or not.
No, well. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Crazy times we're in. What a time to be alive, right? I
Oh,
mean,
yeah. I mean, they say all this stuff and we the people. Who the hell's that? And it's never been we the people. We who? That's French. We ain't French. We the people. They throw that over us as and give us this false sense of authority and standing as if that's ever gotten anybody anywhere. Look at where we are. You think that worked? It worked for them. For those who seek control and we allow them to assemble, because that's what they call themselves, an assembly, right? And they make the rules, and
it's still someone else. See, and okay, so that even goes to if we were to build a community with say everyone in chat right now. Okay, you build a community. I think some would be in the doghouse, but it's how would you decide? So some people think that there has to be someone in charge,
because they can't control themselves.
and oh, so it's because they can't control themselves.
Yes, that's why they have to have
Hmm.
some, and that's where we have our relationship with Christ, right? He is the stopping point. That's the right when someone comes to Christ, if you will, or accepts Christ in their life as their personal Lord and Savior, that's the stopping point of their old life and the beginning point of their new life. And we all need that at some point in our life, one way or another. And that's what Christ is, right? He's
Yes,
that stopping point, turning, you stop and turn and follow him, right? So
yes,
we as people need that. However, some folks can't control themselves and can't even, they need to be told. They want to be told, go there and do this every day, right? And that's okay.
right,
I like that sometimes too. Like I know that if it's my job to chop this pile of wood, I know that's my job. I know what to do. I don't have to go around looking for work, right?
right.
But and when it comes to self-governance, it's it's a little bit more difficult. Now we have that free will. There's no one looking over our shoulders telling us what to do, right? The government says you can't do this drug. Some states you can. The government says you can't, here you can't buy alcohol over a certain percentage, which I didn't even realize. I thought that was weird, but okay, whatever. So, there's these limits and what happens, gun control, right? Why? Because they put it before us, all these situations where people took it upon themselves to do bad things with these weapons and cause harm and do evil, atrocious things to people in our society. And they use those situations to leverage more laws and force more safety and stuff on us. They say, look, you folks can't govern yourselves. You're running around doing all this crazy stuff. We need laws. We need to wrangle you in and make sure you're acting right. And some folks actually do need that. We see that in society. They're running around acting a fool. But if we were
Well,
to be a community here with the folks in Chad and everybody, I think that's the first thing is we'd have to be self-governing people.
yes, but even in the old days, there was a sheriff that was there to protect the people and take care of the bad guys. So, and sheriffs are elected. I don't know.
Well, sure. I mean, I'm not saying that there should be no laws. However, I mean, it's one thing to have a sheriff, and then like we see all the policies and statutes that they put on top of what would be considered natural law or God's law. You don't steal, you don't kill, right? These kinds of
Right.
things.
And so that's the thing is, okay, who would enforce it? The community as a whole. Okay, everybody agrees this person is corrupting or causing havoc or a danger to others, then someone would have to decide something about it.
Well, I think this is a perfect example. Let's look at Chet tonight. We saw Frog be Frog. We know him, we love him. We're not, we're just saying. We see Frog now. Could you imagine a community just running around poking fun at folks, overdoing things, kind of making Sammy's mom, he's overdoing it. He's just playing games, it's all in good fun, right? And we know that because we know him, but
Right.
I think Sammy's mom, I think that's the name. If I'm mistaking that, I apologize. Maybe doesn't know Frog as well as we do. It maybe, fell into one of his traps, if you will, for a little bit. So what do we do about that? Do we just throw Frog away now? Like he didn't hurt anybody. He's just playing word games, right? Like what is there do we have like do we say, hey, this isn't necessarily what you said. This is a matter of
What? No way.
cool.
I did
Digital.
too.
That's funny.
Who else did I see that?
I know you're a nice person, Sammy's mom. We know that.
KRUP, good to see you too.
But so it's like, well, we have to have an understanding. I think that's where we got to begin, as we know each other, we understand each other, and we kind of have to let each other be ourselves, right? Isn't that kind of the point of it too? If Frog's a little froggy from time to time, that just comes with the territory, But now if, let's say, things got to a point where they're physical or anything else like that, that's a whole nother thing, right?
Right. That's instant. Just like your kids. If your kids are doing something detrimental, you're going to handle it instantly. Right?
Right. Yep.
And absolutely, John. Criminals don't obey laws.
Yep. And I do speak for myself, Auntie Jack, or I speak in generalities. It's not directed towards you or anybody specifically, other than Frog. He knows what I'm talking about, And he is nice. Amphibian.
Yeah. And
I had to sound that word out.
Just a hypothetical, not
Yeah.
just having a discussion about, so how could we make this work? Just because I think that there is going to be a rebuilding of this country in some way. It's not working the way it is. So there's going to have to be a rebuilding. And so it's like, how do we do that? And so that's why I just bring up, okay, suppose all of us right here were put together in a community, because that's the way you would do it. Is my sound bad?
I can hear you okay.
Okay. Is the background noise getting a little too loud? I'm hearing her. Let me take care of this.
It's not like loud or anything. I can hear a little voice back there, but I didn't really notice it until you said something about it, I guess. I don't know. But I think we can handle ourselves a lot better than we give ourselves credit for. And that's everybody. I think sometimes it's just tough. Our situations in life are all different, yet they're all difficult. They're all our own and they're all personal to us. And we carry them differently. And that's something that we have to keep in mind, is that we all have our own story. We don't know them. We meet each other in chat rooms from time to time, and we get to know each other, and we talk and we hang out, and we kind of build a friendship and a bond, and we start to realize that, hey, there's folks all over this world we're talking to through YouTube,
Yes.
and similar, like-minded, yet each unique and have their own opinion.
Yep.
And I like that about people. I like hearing their own opinion and debating and discussing. Debating is a weird word. I don't like to argue and stuff, but we're just talking. And yeah, sometimes I can get a little
But
verbose.
that's just it. A debate is different than an argument. An argument is you're convinced you're right and you're not going to listen. A debate is more you're you're defending your side of the situation, but at the same time, once it's over, you can see where that other person had some good points too, and that's where you, with an open mind, you sit there and you decide, okay, maybe I wasn't completely right about this, and that's where compromise comes in. A lot of times, any of you that are married out there, you have to compromise at times. And so that's, even in a marriage, if so the man is the king of the house. Okay, all fine and good, but that doesn't mean that the woman is any less. It means that a man is there to be the protector, the spiritual leader, the leader in um, a lot of ways. But if it's like a big decision, like a big purchase, or like if you're wanting to buy a new house, that is something that's discussed together, and you come up with whatever decision's going to be made, whether it's, it be more financially responsible to stay here where we're at and fix it up than to buy a whole new house.
Well, and those are decisions that, you know, each home, if you will, or each marriage or whatever, that's decided amongst themselves. It's not, my place to say how someone else should run their household, right? I don't feel compelled to do that. I mean,
Yeah, I'm not saying.
no, I know. I'm not saying you did. That's not what I mean at all. I'm sorry if that's what came across. I'm not saying that's what you're saying, but those are those relationship type things that get worked out. I mean, I think there's general overall places we could look, like at the Bible, and we can kind of learn from our past and stuff like that to be better. But we each have our own relationships, right? Like you and I, Bonnie, we're friends. We have that's a relationship. We have relationship with the people in chat, like Frog and Sammy's mom. We love you both. I see what's going on there, and you're both very loving and kind-hearted people. So and there's a relationship there, and relationships grow and change, right? Now, my relationship with Frog doesn't necessarily have, like, how should I say, without being mean, right, Bonnie, as you have no place in there, right? Like, not obviously, like, I wouldn't have any place coming between you and your husband per se, or you and anybody else in a relationship, or me and Sammy's relationship, right? We have to be careful in
Right.
doing that, right?
Yes. That's a really good one. Hilarious too. John 18:23. Jesus replied, if I said something wrong, testify as to what was wrong. But if I spoke correctly, why did you strike me? It's a good one. Ow.
Hug it out.
Well, and that's, but even you were talking a while ago, if it got violent, I mean, I remember back in the day, whenever two people had a difference and they would fist fight it out and then, okay, it's over and done with, and get all their anger out and get up and dust their knees off and shake hands. And so um, I think that's kind of been lost too, because now everyone is so quick to put assault, or they think that they have to have a weapon. And once you do that, then you've drawn the line. You've gone over the line. And that's what I've always been taught. If you draw, it's with the intent to take care of the problem. You don't even draw that weapon unless it's absolutely to save your life, period. Not just to make a
I
threat.
agree with that. You don't pull it unless you plan to use it. You know, it ain't a toy. You know, it's nothing to be waving
Yes.
around. That's something that, you know, we learned, like, I think day one at hunter safety, and I don't know how old we were, 12, 13 or something like that, 10, 11. But there is a such thing even to this day as mutual combat. Two men can agree to box each other. There's,
Yes. That,
you
and
know,
I've seen that too, where they take it to a ring or
well, that'll get you out of trouble once. The judge will let you use that excuse once, mutual combat. Because ultimately, you know,
it's
hey, if they
someone's.
agree and if I make the offer and they accept and I'm boxing the dude because we're running our mouths or something, then it is what it is. Like you said, we box it out. The winner wins. We tire each other out, and everyone's pretty quiet after that.
Yeah. Okay, Frog, I'm going to answer your question. No. Um, mm, I don't know
And
how.
the rule is equal or lesser force, from what I understand. So this
Yeah,
whole, like, if they spit in your face, you'd be in your rights, I suppose, to spit in their face or something equivalent, right? If they
might
punch you in
get
the
a
face, right?
bloody
Now the
nose.
right, you know, like, so the question that comes into where it's deadly force,
Catherine.
right? Like, so if they have a gun, I'm sorry, if
Yes.
you have a gun and they have a knife, right? At what point are you able to use that gun in self-defense? At what point is your life at risk, right? Some and states are different. You know, some states say, well, if they're in arm's reach and that knife can reach me, you're in your rights to use your
Yes.
weapon. Deadly force is deadly force. That's equal or less, you know,
Yes.
equal or lesser.
It's
Some
still a
states say,
weapon.
hey, if they come on your land saying stupid shit, waving that knife, you may have the right to defend yourself that way. So you got to brush up, I guess, in that sense. But typically, if someone spits in your face, that's not a good thing, man. Hopefully, they brush their teeth.
But that's like saying if somebody walks up with a cannon and the other one has a 22. I mean, a weapon's a weapon. It doesn't matter.
Right? And car could be used as a weapon. We've seen that in recent
Absolutely.
times, right? Like that's terrible, and it's just,
Yes.
you know,
Yep. But that doesn't mean just go shooting any car. It's it it's situational. It's um
yeah.
so
And
you
I mean,
can
if you
do
go into a
it.
situation where you know, oh, sorry, Bonnie, go ahead.
It's okay. I'm just saying it's hard to give a definite answer till you're in a situation like that. I
Exactly.
mean, and that's it. If I feel my life's in danger, I'm going to react in some way. Just,
I mean, look, I'll speak personally of myself. I've been in a situation where people have pointed guns at me, shot one in the ceiling, shot one in the doorway. I mean, I don't know how to explain it, and I'm not, I didn't do anything heroic. I gave them the money. I made sure no one got hurt and got him out of the door, kind of a thing. But it wasn't, if I had a gun on me, would I have shot this guy? I don't know, and I don't want to pretend like I do know what I would do in those moments, but I didn't, and I still lived, right? And nobody got hurt. And I was
right.
able to do that by looking this guy right in the eyes. He wanted the money. He was there to rob us. Not a problem. Take the money and go, right? You're not a murderer. You're a coward. I get that. Get out of here. So I'm
Yeah.
not worried about those kinds of situations, like that stuff can be replaced. But there are groups of people out there that aren't looking to steal or rob. They are looking just to straight up
Cause harm.
cause harm. Yeah. And that's a little bit more
Yeah.
concerning. That's the situation that I hope we never end up in.
Did you read that one? Ezekiel 22:9.
I did.
Yeah. $1,188 to a sanctuary count. I'm gonna have to go back and get these links. A lawyer. Just curious. De facto or de jure? Just curious. All right. Well, we've been going for almost 2 hours. Um, yes, Frog, that's true. Thank you, honey, Jack. Um, let's see. Have a song I'm gonna go out with. So, Ronan, thank you very much for having this discussion with me.
Thank you for having me and allowing me to express myself. I hope that everybody knows that I do love them out there, and that um, it's just my opinion. So take it with a grain of sand.
Absolutely. That's we all just give our opinions. So, all right, y'all have a blessed night. Hope you listen to this song. And I'll mute and start it.
You know there's a light that glows by the front door. Don't forget the keys under the mat. When childhood stars shine, always stay humble and kind. Go to church cause your mama says to. Visit grandpa every chance that you get. It won't be wasted time. Always stay humble and kind. Hold the door, say please, say thank you. Don't steal, don't cheat, and don't lie. I know you got mountains to climb, but always stay humble and kind. When the dreams you're dreaming come to you, when the work you put in is realized, let yourself feel the pride, but always stay humble and kind. Don't expect a free ride from no one. Don't hold a grudge or a chip, and here's why. Bitterness keeps you from flying. Always stay humble and kind. You know the difference between sleeping with someone and sleeping with someone you love. I love you ain't no pickup line, so always stay humble and kind. Hold the door, say please, say thank you. Don't steal, don't cheat, and don't lie. I know you got mountains to climb, but always stay humble and kind. When the dreams you're dreaming come to you, when the work you put in is realized, let yourself feel the pride, but always stay humble and kind. When it's hot, eat a root beer popsicle, shut off the AC and roll the windows down. Let that summer sunshine. Always stay humble and kind. Don't take for granted the love this life gives you. When you get where you're going, don't forget, turn back around. Have the next one in line. And always stay humble and kind.
I love that song. It's originally by Tim McGraw. Conservative Cowboy, good to see you. It's been a long time. Oh my goodness. Y'all keep all of them in prayer, all of them that have been sent over there to get in this battle that we don't belong in. Please keep each other in prayer. Just keep praying. God bless you all. Have a good evening. Love you.